Hey everybody, what's going on? Val here, and I am doing something pretty much like extremely different from what I usually do. It's usually there's my videos are just some random shit, which is exactly what this is. It's random shit. I have a crested gecko named Jerome. He has been relocated from his 18 by 18 by 24. He's being quarantined in there because if you look in here in this tank, it's hard to see with the lighting, but there's this fungus growing in here. I can't really tell what it is, but you can see this little mushroom that just popped out. I'm not entirely sure what this is, but I do remember seeing some videos that involved like fungus growing in a crested gecko tank because of too much humidity, and it actually ended up killing multiple geckos. I'm not going to say the name of the source here because I don't think he should be really having reptiles if he can't look at the animals in his own house. But anyways, this is a golden opportunity for me to re-clean this tank because there's some poop and stuff everywhere, and I'm actually going to be putting in a bioactive setup in here with a drainage layer and live plants and isopods and a whole bunch of different stuff. For now, though, Jerome is going to have to reside in his 10-gallon for the time being because I don't want him dying to fungus. However, I will be cleaning up the background and just all the shit that's in here. I mean, the glass is stained with a whole bunch of different fucking nonsense, so it's going to be cleaned regardless, and we're just going to go from there. And this will be a fun little series on just reconstructing Jerome's tank. At first, it was going to be huge. I was going to put like a little pond and then like some vampire crabs. But then I was just like, the gecko doesn't want that. As cool as it would be to have a living paludarium for crested geckos, the gecko doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. So we're just going to fucking do the bare minimum and go from there. It has recently come to my attention that my crested gecko Jerome has been in need of a makeover as far as his husbandry goes. We're going to clean out that Exoterra and then replace it with a full bioactive setup. This operation is called Operation Jerome. In order for Operation Jerome to commence, we're going to need a couple things. First things first, we're going to be adding a custom background to the enclosure so we can grow actual live plants onto the back of the tank. In order to build this custom background, you're going to need foam, silicone, and a bunch of coconut fibers. So for those things alone, we are off to the store. So this is the 18 by 18 by 24. I've taken it out, but I still have to clean it before adding in the custom background. And there's still a bunch of shit in here that I gotta clean out anyways. I've got it displayed on a bunch of towels. Now before we get started on actually building the bioactive setup, we have to clean the whole thing first. I have to get rid of all of the dirt that's in there and then clean the glass. Alright, so I got most of the substrate into the, look at how nasty my fingernails are, but I got most of the substrate out of the enclosure and into here, so now we're going to actually start cleaning out the glass. I did take care of the fungus before putting the substrate in this bag, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let it dry out for a few days in case there's more spores or anything left in there. As far as this motherfucker goes, I have to wait for much of this to clean, and then I'll take the glass scraper and eliminate the rest of the glass stains. And then I'm going to take this sucker outside, rinse out the rest of the dirt, and it'll finally be spick and span. I actually wanted to show you guys this because while I'm not nearly done, I literally just got finished scraping the this door, but I want you to see the difference between the two doors. If you see all the hard water stains from that, and then looking at all those stains right there, those are in the very back of the enclosure. They're not here. This is almost clear as day. There's like there's some tiny things there that you can barely see, but aside from that, it looks basically clear as day. Not much longer after this, I went to bed to let the enclosure dry off and do its thing, thus concluding day 1 of Operation Jerome. Day 2 is certainly going to be much more chaotic. Mostly it is going to be creating the custom background for the enclosure with the foam, and then carving the foam, and then siliconing the foam, and then putting coconut fibers on the silicone on the foam. It's a process that takes a very long time, and honestly the most tedious part of all of bioactive setups. So it's day 2, we now have the enclosure on its side after cleaning out most of it. It's still pretty wet on the bottom, which isn't very good for the foam or the silicone, but we're not going to be foaming or siliconing the bottom. We're going to be doing that to the back here, which is why I have it on its back in 4K. As you can see, we have the foam here, the silicone here, and I've got the bag of cocoa fibers ready to go. Like I said, this is the longest part of creating a bioactive setup, is making this custom background, but I'm sure when it's all Gucci and done, it'll be worth it. I'm going to be including one of his pieces of cork bark because one of his favorite things to do is to just hide in the cork bark. Alright, so I've foamed down the background now, and it's already starting to expand. I'm not sure if I overdid it with the amount of foam or not. I'm not entirely sure how much it's going to expand, but if it expands too much, I can always just cut it off because I'm going to be cutting it anyways, so I don't think that really matters too much. I already screwed up because I completely forgot about the biodegradable plant pots that I was going to put in with the foaming, so I just put in a cup from my house, and yeah, but hey, we got something at least. After I finished the foaming, all I had to do was wait for it to dry off before carving it. So enjoy Amber's first day outside of the house. Alright guys, so I have the tank now stood up because all of the foam is successfully dried. As you can see, the cork bark is now stuck there, which is what we wanted to do. Now we have to move on to the tedious part of the entire operation, which is slicing off this shiny outer layer of the foam, because apparently the silicone doesn't stick to it too well. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so I made a boo-boo. Apparently, the foam hadn't completely dried. There's like one small layer on the bottom that isn't, it's still a little bit wet. So we're gonna leave it alone for another hour just to be safe. So that way when we finish carving it, I'll know it'll be completely dry. Thus far though, it doesn't look too bad. I don't know. I'm not sure how creative you can get with this carving, but as you can see, I'm not very good at this. This is my first time doing it. Christ almighty. Okay, so I have finished carving out the foam, at least the foam that I could do. Down here was a pain in the ass because my knife couldn't make it. So there might be a couple shiny spots there, but we're just gonna have to make do with that. Mostly foamed. You can see all the fucking residue of what's left of that, as well as my knife and the razor. Now we can finally apply the silicone with the coconut fibers and make this background actually look really nice. We've learned a lot of things as our days pass us by, and I have learned that I was incorrect in my previous statement about carving the foam being the worst part about creating this. That title goes to siliconing and coconut fibering the fucking background. I have been here for about 2 hours straight, just doing this, and honestly, I mean, it looks nice. There's a couple pieces of foam. Those aren't excess pieces that are sticking out. Those are slight carvings that got mixed in with the coconut fibers. But either way, I think it looks pretty good, and hopefully it'll stay that way. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose it. But I believe this concludes day 2 of Operation Jerome. The thing about day 3 is that it's technically day 4 because I did wait a day in order for the silicone to completely and fully dry. However, this day 3/day 4 is perfect because we went out and pretty much completed the whole thing. Aside from a couple inconveniences, such as having to spray down the plants and a random guy in the middle of the freeway slamming on their brakes in front of me, things went relatively well. Alright, so it's been 2 days straight of me just letting the silicone dry, and as you can see, it doesn't look amazing. There's still a couple spots like right there and there where the foam is showing a bit, but that can easily be covered up by the plants that are going to be planted, and so I think for my first attempt this wasn't bad. I got to clean up these excess coconut fibers and then add in some of the plants and the drainage layer, and we'll be set by then. Okay, so the thing is, I've got good news and bad news. The good news is we found a lot of plants that will actually work really well. The bad news is I'm a fucking idiot. I didn't realize how pesticides worked because I'm not really a big pesticidial man. The thing was, I just thought that I couldn't get rid of them at all, like in the slightest. But as it turns out, literally all you have to do is just wash the plants thoroughly. So we're gonna head back to Le Home Depot and we're gonna get some freaking plants for Jerome. Feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it. Okay, so I just installed all of the plants. It took a fucking miracle and a half, but I got all of it. I've got some pothos and some ficus and a little fern here. I washed them all off. They're good to go. The cleanup crew still isn't here, but this is basically what the enclosure is going to look like. It's a little crowded, but it works pretty well for what it is. Jerome's going to like it being crowded. It is a little messy, and you can't really appreciate the background as much, but he'll appreciate it, and that's what matters. So after yet another day of hard work on this enclosure, I can say that I am very satisfied, and this concludes day 3. Or 4, kind of. The only thing we're missing now is the cleanup crew and a little bit just for the whole thing to cycle, and finally, to add Jerome into the tank. Alright guys, so it's been a couple days, waiting on lots of shipping, but we have finally gotten our cleanup crew, and there they are. Look at those. These are powder orange isopods. They're very small. I was expecting them to be a little bit bigger, But as you can see, there they are. They are very cool looking. I got them because they're orange, and also because I know they're pretty good. Wanna look at them, Bruno? And in here, much bigger container, funnily enough, are the Temperate Springtails. They're so damn small, I can't even see any of them. But they're in there. They are in there. But as you can see in here, it has gotten pretty much the same. The plants are doing just fine underneath this solar glow lamp. And I just gave it a spray this morning, or like a few hours ago. So it's still nice and damp. Jerome's in the coconut hide there somewhere. And we are ready to finally introduce our microfauna. And then we're gonna let it cycle for about a day, and then it will finally be done, and we'll finally be ready to add Jerome in this bitch. Tell me that this isn't gonna be awesome. So I just kind of dumped a lot of them in there, and as you can see, they're already starting to get well established into the enclosure. I just think it's so cool watching them walk around and stuff. These guys are actually crustaceans, and they've been around for quite a while. I put plenty of leaf litter, plenty of moss, plenty of stuff in here for them to feast upon. And you know, if there's excess crested gecko diet that's left over, or excess Jerome poop that's left over, they're gonna be feasting. Oh, also, I wanted to give a shout out to the company Pangea, because that is not only the company that I get Jerome's food from, his crested gecko diet, but it is also where I ordered these isopods and springtails. So big shout out to them. They actually came here relatively quickly, and it was for a really good price. All right, I've successfully added the springtails as well. So I'm hoping that, the thing is, I actually never saw them. Like, I knew they were tiny, but I didn't think they were that tiny. I literally didn't see one. I imagine they are in there, because the isopods came in intact, and they're already exploring the enclosure. You can see a little guy right there. Just look at them go. Look at how cool they are. Well, folks, the journey certainly has been arduous. We had some good times trying to build this beautiful bioactive setup, but it's finally done. I imagine he'll be thriving. I feel very accomplished. I mean, look at that background. He's gonna love sitting on the background. He's gonna love the ledge. He's gonna love the cork bark being so high up. He might munch on some of the isopods. I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't do that. He's got his crested gecko diet. It's done. Operation Jerome is done. As for all of his excess supplies, I think I'm going to be using these things for, in case I need to end up rescuing a different animal. It's always nice to have stuff like that on the back burner, just in case. Let me know if you want to see more reptile stuff from me, because I can do things with Amber as well. Not right now, because she's starting to shed, and I don't think I could do a bioactive setup with her, because she's a bit of a bulldozer. She likes to just knock shit over all the time. I feel incredibly accomplished right now. Oh man, ever since coronavirus, the whole pandemic started, I haven't been very productive, but this is beautiful, and I'm so happy that I was able to accomplish this. Let's try and get Jerome to explore around a bit more. Oh, I'm gonna get you. Oh, I'm gonna get you. Oh, I'm gonna get you. Oh no, there he goes. Seems to like that fern. We're definitely going to leave him alone for a while because he needs to get used to his new environment. He just changed homes twice in the past week or so because I love these animals, and I'd kill to get further into the reptile hobby. I want to get a tegu, a frilled dragon, well, in order, right? Frilled dragon, false water cobra, maybe a tegu, maybe a milk snake or something. I don't want to go crazy with it because, you know, I'm only 18, but I just love interacting with these wonderful animals. It's amazing. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Operation Jerome was a success. Jerome is thriving in his new bioactive and self-cleaning environment with his new customized background, live plants, isopods, and springtails. He couldn't be enjoying life more, and honestly, I could not be more satisfied with the results. I'd like to thank you for sticking around during this whole journey. If you liked the video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know if you want to see anything similar to this in the future. And with that, peace out.